Hello, Cheltenham. Oh, there's so many of you. This is going to be a very, very special hour. My name is Emma Freud. I'm going to introduce you to the people that you're going to be spending the next hour with, and then I'm going to leave them to it. So I'm only here for a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Tan France is a Doncaster lad raised by strict Muslim Pakistani parents. His fashion career began at Zara. It moved on to Selfridges, and then he brought out his own fashion range. It was the perfect journey. In 2015, he moved to America, married a Mormon cowboy, settled in Utah, and last year became the fashion expert on the Netflix makeover show Queer Eye, which is now arguably the most popular, loved, and award-winning TV show, but actually the second most highly watched TV show on the planet. And it's not just popular, even The Guardian called it one of the most important TV shows for a long, long time, tackling the issues of masculinity head-on and actually solving some of them. Nadiya Hussain, on the other hand, is a first-generation British Bangladeshi born and raised in Luton. At the age of 20, she had an arranged marriage. She moved to Leeds, had 3 children, and at 31 years old, despite an anxiety disorder and a history of panic attacks, she was entered by her incredibly handsome husband. That's more information than anyone needed, but I've met him. Was entered into the Great British Bake Off in front of 15 million viewers to the utter delight of the entire nation. She won. She's now a regular broadcaster on BBC One, a key figure in shifting stereotypes about the Muslim community, a brilliant spokesperson for cultural diversity, and the woman who baked the 90th birthday cake for the Queen. And last year, she married her husband again, this time for love. This afternoon, these two are going to do something for the first and possibly the last time. That kind of depends on how you respond to it. They're going to talk together about growing up in the UK as children of parents from South Asia. We would love you to be part of this conversation as well and ask them any questions that you might have. But because we are very modern in Cheltenham, we'd like to ask you to do this slightly differently. If you've got a question for either Nadiya or for Tan, we'd like you to tweet it to us using the hashtag AskNadiyaTan. AskNadiyaTan, hashtag. Got it? Ask. And Nadiya, is it there? No. Nadiya, Tan, T-A-N. Ask Nadiya Tan. And at the end of their chat, we're going to get through as many of your questions as we possibly can. They're also going to be doing a signing in the Waterstones tent after the event, so that's your chance to meet them in person. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, please may I introduce you to the most popular baker in Britain and the most fabulous fashion consultant in the world.
Hello.
Hey! Thank you. You're very welcome.
Hello, dear. Thank you.
Look, the memo.
I know.
We all got it.
That happened.
We really didn't plan this. We legit did not plan this.
No, we did not.
We just all squealed a lot when we saw each other.
Yeah. Oh, it made good pictures, though.
It did,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Really good pictures.
I leave you to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, we don't have long.
We know they're here for you. Look, there's
That's the lie.
There's like 6 in there for me.
No.
I know. There's like 6, maybe.
You're the Queen of England. Nobody knows us, yeah. But
Yeah, they do.
no, they really don't. But we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And now let's make this whole session about Nadiya, because I'm dying to know more about you. Okay, do you mind if I start?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm obsessed with Nadiya Hussain. And so I'm going to make this real short. I was asked to do this some time ago, and I don't get a lot of time off anymore, and I had a day off, and they said, do you want to do this thing with Nadiya? And normally, if it was anybody else, I'd be like, no, I'm having my day off. I traveled 2.5 hours so I could come and interview you on stage because that's how obsessed I am.
I love you.
The book is wonderful. Is it out already?
It's out on the 17th. So
okay, but they can get it now, like at this tour, I think.
I think so.
So, you're going to love the book.
We'll find out.
You're going to love the book, and let's find out more about what it's all about, please. And so
Well, thank you for coming, because we were just talking backstage,
Yeah.
and you were saying that you've literally only had 9 days off
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
Which I can trump that. I've only had 4.
I knew you
So
would one up
lazy,
me.
God
I know, I
can't
knew you
be
would one up-
so lazy.
I love that that's how we're setting the tone. But I want to jump into the book, please. That's what we're here to celebrate. And so I want to start off first by asking about your scarf.
Yes.
It dictates your mood.
Yes, it does. So, you know, when you're on Bake Off,
Yeah.
most of the time I'm always wearing a black scarf.
Yeah.
And I hadn't realized what I was doing. So my husband just said, you know, when you're in a good mood, you don't wear that black scarf. And so whenever, like, the darker the color, the kind of moodier I'm feeling, I just feel like when I go, like, when it's an orange, you know it's a good day.
Yeah.
You know it's a good day when it's
Yeah.
orange. So yeah, it does. I hadn't realized that I was doing that, but my husband's really observant, so I didn't realize that I was
Yeah.
doing it. But this Christmas, something wonderful happened. I was at my mum and dad's house, and like all good Asian weddings, it was mayhem.
Yeah.
And my mum decided that it would be a really good idea for all 27 of us to get changed at her house.
Oh, yeah.
Her 3-bed, semi-detached.
You'd be shocked how many people you can fit into an Asian house, though.
Oh, yeah. Like sardines,
Yeah.
anchovies,
Yeah.
yes. So there we were, dressed in our wonderful clothes, and and after we finished, I was like, I'm so over this sari, unraveled myself halfway down the stairs, and I couldn't find my scarf, and I lost it. And my husband said, that's the best thing you've done, is lose that scarf. And I don't wear it anymore. I just don't wear black anymore, apart from if it's a jumpsuit
Yeah.
and it's with you.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't wear it, but I just don't wear black anymore. It just,
Okay.
it makes me feel better not to. Colour makes me feel happy.
So, what's the mood today? Because in your book, you talk about how this...
I'm as giddy as this lot that I'm sat here with you.
Okay,
This is
good.
wonderful.
So happy. So I should have mentioned this earlier. I'm not texting while she's talking.
So
everybody.
rude.
I've actually got my questions on here. Okay. So your book is broken up into chapters, 10
Yep.
to be exact, and they're all based on the roles that you play in your life.
Yeah.
Many, many, many hats.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you chose to break it up that way?
It's that point where, you know, when I was writing the book, I thought to myself, you know what, there's like, how do I do this? Because this was the beginning of the book. So I was like, what is it that makes me who I am? What is it that's important to me? And it's the roles. And it's really funny because when I was writing the book, these are the roles that define me, yet they're the roles that I almost want to run away from sometimes. And so I picked, my nephews and nieces were so upset that there isn't an auntie chapter in there. I was like, there's no auntie chapter in there. But there's like 11 of them. I'm like, I would have a whole book for you guys. Like, I'd dedicate an entire book for you guys. But I figured that the best way to write the book would be through the different roles that I've played, because ultimately those roles are the things that have made me who I am today and shaped me to be the person I am. And one day I'll write about being a grandma.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
You started off the book. I actually was surprised when I was reading your book. The first chapter, you went in pretty hard straight away.
Yeah.
And this isn't a question on here. You just triggered something. You talk about how when your mum was in labour, your dad went to have a cigarette.
Fag, yep.
Yeah, and then he was pretty much ready to miss your birth, or actually had missed your birth, and simply said bastard.
Yeah, that was it. That was the
yeah,
word.
and-
When the midwife said to him, you've had a bouncy baby girl, he said, bastard.
Yeah. And that's it.
That was it.
Yeah.
I asked to hear that story time and time again. I'm like, Dad, tell me that story. Tell me that story. Tell me
See, I
that
want to know why. So that's my question. Why would you torture yourself by wanting to know that that was the first word that was used?
Because I am the best thing that
Celebrate
happened to
you.
him. And he knows it. I am the best thing that happened to him, and he knows it. When I was out with him not long ago, he goes, that is mine. I was like, see, he's proud.
Yeah.
But he...
Do you really think you're the favourite? Even
no,
before all this?
no, I'm not the favourite.
Who is? A sister?
Oh, there's one of... No, it's definitely not a girl.
I was going to say, that's why I was asking, it can't be a girl.
Definitely not a girl. When I won Bake Off, my mum said, if only your brother had won Bake Off.
Does he bake?
Does he bake? He's a mechanic. He is a mechanic.
He could have a side hustle.
He does not cook. He burns things. No, he doesn't cook. But I was like, Mum, I mean, I get it, like if he can cook a curry, but baking, you know, like this is only person in my family that bakes is me. But she was just like, oh, if only he'd won. I'm like, oh, I'm so sad for you, Mum.
Yeah. What a hard life you live, Mother.
So difficult. But yeah, definitely not his favourite. But yeah, that was my dad's first word. It was bastard. And I love listening to that story because it was about understanding. I felt very hard done by as a child every time I heard that story. But also, by writing about it, it really helped me to understand my relationship with my parents because so often I used to think, oh, they just don't like me because I'm a girl. And quite often that was true. And that was because of society. It's because society to them, you know, just in our culture, you know, a girl is a burden. A girl, you get married off and she costs you money, whereas a boy will stay at home. And this is going to be really alien to lots of people, but I think it's really important to talk about these things because this is lives. These are lives that people live every single day. And I think the more we talk about them and the more we understand each other's lives, the more inclusive we are and the more we there's less barriers. I think the more we talk about these differences, the less, you know, we break down those barriers. And so my dad was just scared to tell his father-in-law that he had another girl. And remember, I was number 3. So one girl 1 year, the next year another girl, and then another. I'm like, Mom, seriously, get a TV, please. Or get some VHS or something. And either that or they didn't have central heating. I don't know what it was. But there was 3 girls, and then she had her boy.
Thank gosh for that.
Yeah, but he had bilateral hair, lip and cleft palate. And then my uncle just said, oh, well, that's not a proper boy. I was like, oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
The sad thing is, though, that is very typically true in our culture, whether it's Bengali or Pakistani or Indian, that is the case.
Yeah.
You are desperate for that son.
Yeah.
And the reason why I said thank God she finally had a son is because I'm sure she felt that pressure so greatly.
Exactly. So when I was writing the book, as much as I hated the fact that she desperately wanted this boy, I also understood from her point of view that, you know, she wanted this son just to get these people off her back as well, because she was ostracized. You know, she was, every time somebody asked, and I talk so openly about when my mum gets asked, how many children do you have? She kind of says, 4 boys, and I have 2 boys. I have 4 girls and I have 2 boys. Like, it's like 4 girls and 2 boys. And I feel really bad for her because she shouldn't have to feel like that, because she's a strong woman herself. And it makes me sad and it breaks my heart. But the only way I'm going to change that is by treating my children exactly the same.
And by talking about how ludicrous it is.
It's ridiculous.
Especially in this day and age, and especially in the West, where girls can achieve just the same, if not more, as any boy can.
Yeah. I mean, I made it very clear. I was like, Mum, you know I paid for my own wedding, and your boys didn't.
Yeah.
I just like to point things out.
Yeah.
Which you probably
I do the same.
Yeah, well, which you probably worked out when you're reading the book, that I was the mouthiest human being in the whole. I was just like, yeah.
Here's the thing: you don't get to be brown in this industry without having a very loud voice and being very stubborn and really beating down some doors. And so that starts at home.
Yes,
I'm the mouthiest in my family too.
Yes.
And I ain't shutting up anytime soon.
No
plans. No plans. Okay, you are very not typically Asian. You look like any other Asian I might know, but your life actually isn't.
No.
Because you have not, it's not about the fact that your job is in TV. You have a job that keeps you very, very busy. And you just told me that you wrote 10 books. I can't believe you did that and all these other shows. You are constantly working.
Yeah.
And that's not typical for our people.
No.
And so talk to me about balancing being a mum, a wife, a full-time, more than full-time employee.
Yeah.
How is that for you personally, managing all that? And how is that seen by your community, your culture?
Well, my mum said, my mum's off in Bangladesh now, and she works a full-time job, and she works because she got bored. Everyone left, and then they all got married and left, and she's like, what do I do now? I said, get a job.
Yeah.
Just go to work.
Which is alien for a lot of people.
Yeah, and mum's like, my mum's 56, and she's like, I'm old. I'm like, what? You are not old. And she, so my mum said a couple of weeks ago, she said, because I'm off to America to do a bit of filming, and she said, are you done yet? I was like, am I done with what? What am I done with? And she said, are you done? I said, I don't get, what am I supposed to be done with? She goes, this thing. And I was like, it's a job, mother. It's a job.
Yeah.
It's an actual real life job. And she goes, but look, and my husband has been really working hard to lose weight because he's getting that Southeast Asian Ali. Oh, yes.
The worst.
It was happening, and I was like, love, get yourself in the gym. And it's all gone now, and my mum's like, well, you know, it's because you're working and he's got nobody to feed him. I'll go, he has hands, he has a mouth, he can feed himself, it's absolutely fine. So yeah, it's not been easy. I think over the last 4 years, it's definitely been a juggling act, and something that my husband and I are very kind of like, there's no such thing as 50-50 in a relationship. We are firm believers that somebody always puts in a little bit more, and sometimes the other half puts in a little bit less. Like, I am literally putting in 3% today, because the other 97, he's at home. He's doing the laundry, he's cleaning the house. Oh, it's so good. He's mucking out the chickens. It's great.
Well, so that's not typical.
No, and that's not
any Asian man I've ever known.
No.
How is that perceived within your community?
Well, when we first got married and we had my son, he very much, when his parents used to come round, and Musa was very little, he was only a few weeks old, and whenever he needed a nappy change, he would just hand him over to me, as if to say, I know that you have a fourth degree tear and stitches and you're not feeling very well, but you're going to have to change his nappy. I can't do it in front of my parents. So he wouldn't change nappies in front of his mum and dad. And then as soon as they'd go, he'd be like, oh my God, this house is so messy. And then he would tidy up and he'd, shall I make you some food? And then he'll go and make something. And it's like, wow, he's a totally different person. But he felt the need to put on that act while his parents were around, because it wasn't the done thing. I've got to say, in the last, certainly a lot longer than, way before Bake Off, that's something that we decided as soon as we had my second son, that we can't do this anymore. We don't act. There's no point in putting on an act, especially when you've got children. I don't want to teach my children that you have to act a certain way to please someone. You are who you are, regardless of your situation. Of course, you have to filter yourself sometimes. You know, I have to filter myself when I'm around my kids. There's certain words I can't say.
They're going to learn them at school anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I've read your book.
No, it's disgusting, and I'm so sorry.
I've read his book, and I listened to the audiobook. All I'm saying is, he's the only person in the world that says that word more than... oh, just him. I can't even say it.
It's really
But you make it sound so cool.
You're welcome.
It makes it so acceptable.
You know, there's no other way of really getting across, articulating what I'm really feeling.
Yeah.
So that really, it just helps. It's so nice.
It does.
Yeah, well, maybe not nice, but that's why I can do it. Okay, so when you are at work, somewhere like this, your husband is taking care of the kids.
Yeah.
Does he have? I don't remember it saying in the book. Maybe I missed it. Does he have a job outside of the home?
Yeah. Lots of people think he's just at home.
Yeah.
Just sat there looking after the kids. No.
That's a job, right?
Yeah, no. I'm not laughing. I'd love it if he stayed at home and looked after the kids.
Yeah.
I would absolutely. I'd travel the world. I'd say yes to every single job. Because I say no to so many things.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, like at most I can do 10 days. Like by days, if it gets to about day 12 and I'm traveling and I stop missing home.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, go home.
Yeah.
Go home, you're straying.
Yeah.
Come on. You need to go home. So by day 12, if I stop missing home, I'm like, right, you need to get home again. So I give myself about 10 days, and after that, I can't do any more.
Yeah.
But no, yes, he does. He has a job.
Okay.
He works in IT.
Okay.
That's it.
Great. I'm so glad you didn't say more, because I wouldn't have understood a word. So, yep, good.
That's it.
Okay, so your life at home is not very typically Asian. And you didn't live in a super Asian community, because in your school there weren't a lot of Asian kids.
No. Oh, in my school?
It was fully Asian kids.
Yeah, so I was the complete opposite to you, because I loved reading in your book. It was really interesting, because it was a complete opposite of the way I grew up, because I grew up in a very Asian community.
Okay.
Very rarely saw a white face. There was one girl who, her dad was from Nigeria and her mum was English, and we were like, whoa. Like a different shade of brown.
Yeah.
It was just really, it was amazing. But she left, like 2 weeks later, she was gone.
Well then, okay. Well,
so you were complete opposite, because you lived in predominantly...
there were like not even 10 of us in school who were of colour. Well then, what colour was the boy who did the boys
bullying.
who did the deed? Yeah, the bullying, who there's a moment in the book that is actually really hard to read.
My kids have read the book.
They have?
So my 12-year-old and my 13-year-old have read
It was
the
painful
book.
to read. That part was painful to read.
Yeah. So they have a thing now every morning at breakfast. They want to talk about, let's talk about the bullying and the abuse, Mum, at breakfast. I'm like, can we wait till lunch? Maybe.
Yeah. So it was Asian boys.
It was Asian Pakistani boys.
Oh, I'm so sorry, we're the worst.
You don't have to apologize for them. You are not them.
Actually, let me say this. Historically, there is a lot of tension between Pakistanis and
There
Bengalis.
is. Yes, for people who don't know,
Yeah.
there is. My sister is married to a Pakistani man, and that might have gone down like a lead balloon.
Yeah.
But it's all right.
Oh.
It's good. It's great now.
It's great now,
but
but tell us about
it's
it.
difficult. It's difficult. It's really hard because there's this definite divide. Because my parents are from Luton. There's a certain divide between Bangladeshis and Pakistanis, and they don't mix. They don't mix.
I
at all.
told Nadia early on that almost all of my friends in the UK are Bengali, which is actually quite strange for a Pakistani to have so many Bengali friends. The first time I wanted to go to my friend's house, the mum said, "You're not letting that Pakistani into our house." Yeah, they wouldn't let me into the house because I was Pakistani. I know, it was such a shame.
Yeah.
Now she'll have me at the house. And so, it's amazing how that changed. So you were at school with a load of Pakistani boys,
Yeah.
and they were hideous.
They were horrible. They were disgusting human beings.
Tell me about it.
People always ask me, do you think if you've ever saw them, would you, how would you feel? And I do sometimes, and they don't rule every aspect of my life, but it was hideous. My head was flushed down the toilet, my fingers were smashed. So it was the abuse wasn't just name calling.
Yeah.
And they had it was a very blasé attitude by the teachers, which is actually quite sad. It was very much, they just say, you just ignore them and they'll go away. And they don't go away. And I do not tell my kids that. I'm like, no, you got a problem, you confront it, we confront it, we deal with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. And so I tried very hard. And, I grew up in a house where of 6 of us, 2 of them, my brother and sister, were very sick, in and out of hospital a lot. So I couldn't just go to Mum's house and say, I couldn't go home and just say, oh, Mum, I'm being bullied. Oh, but, my sister's got a 50-50 chance of coming out that theatre, So it was hard. You had to prioritize, and I had to have perspective at a very young age, and no 9, 10-year-old needs to have perspective, because when you're 9 or 10, your problems are real.
Yeah.
And yet,
Did you tell your siblings?
No.
Okay.
I didn't tell her. A lot of the things that you read in the book are things that I've only just very recently told my siblings, and my dad. My dad is very much ignoring everything, because that's quite. I want to talk to him about it, and I want to speak about it, but he's very much like, it happened, I can't do anything about it, I don't want to talk about it. And that's absolutely fine by me, because...
That's a man's pride. He wasn't able to probably help.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's very painful.
Yeah.
Not to defend your dad, but...
No. I mean, he's a good egg, and he doesn't... They grew up in difficult times.
Yeah.
They suffered a lot of racism when they came to this country.
Yeah.
My dad was orphaned very young, so he didn't... my dad worked really hard to get us for us to be where we are today, and he sacrificed a lot of himself for that. And I see that in myself. The sacrifices I make for my children, but they'll know. I mean, I look back at my kid, and that's why writing the book was so important for me, because actually I realize now that my dad worked really hard. So whenever I was mouthy, and I was quite mean to my parents, but I now see I've got perspective.
Yeah.
35 years later.
When these boys were, it was only boys who was doing.
Yeah, it was 2 boys.
Okay.
You know their names. I can picture their faces.
We should put them on blast now. Let's all bully them online. No, I'm joking. That's horrible.
Should we do what you want to do to all of the people that bullied you?
So I've got this horrible story in my book, which is actually true, and it shows how vengeful I am.
It really is. I was like, whoa,
I really am. I play the nice guy on TV, but actually this is what's really in my heart. I was bullied quite badly because of my skin colour, and I don't feel this way anymore. It was when I was a kid, and I did...
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit, maybe just a little bit.
We round them all up.
Yeah, I wanted to round them all up in a van and have every Pakistani person just beat the crap out of them. But that's what I used to fantasize about at like 10 years old, because you don't know how to process your feelings. So they were my fantasies. I wanted to torture them just the way they tortured us every day.
Yeah.
You don't know that that's wrong as a kid. You just want to take revenge and make them feel
Yeah.
all the pain that they've caused you.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was because you were darker.
Yeah. So they were Pakistani boys,
Yeah.
and they tend to be fairer than Bangladeshis, and they were very fair, you know, like rosy cheeks. And I was this little dark kid with big curly hair that my dad cut so short it was like a boy. and it's because he wanted a boy, so he cut my hair short, and it was like yours but hideous. I wish it looked like that. And it had height, but not the good kind. And they pick. I think my son always says, "Mum, they pick anything. Bullies will pick the smallest thing," and that's what they had. My skin color, and I was very defiant. I wouldn't wear dresses, so I wanted to wear trousers, and I was the only girl in the whole school that wore trousers, and so that's what they picked on, and they were hideous. They were horrible about it, and it was, and like in your book, you talk about being vengeful, and I was the complete opposite. I thought about dying. It's like the only way to get out of this is to die. And I had never, at 10 years old, I hadn't experienced death. I didn't know what death was, but it was a way out. And I was like, well, maybe dying's a good idea. And I looked at it, and so when I look back at my emotions then, it's quite almost like you can tell it's a child's mind. It's jovial almost. It's like, hey, so I should just die. And that's exactly what it was. And I think back now, and my youngest is nearly 10 years old, and I think for her to have emotions like that, it just breaks my heart to think that she could have emotions like that.
When you think back to, you have a lot of anxiety now. And you have done since you were a kid. When you think back to the times that you were bullied, and I want to talk about another situation that has also impacted your anxiety, have you found a way at this point to reconcile your anxiety, to know where it comes from, and to be able, does knowing where it came from help you process it now?
So last year I did this time last year I filmed a documentary on my anxiety for the BBC, which was really difficult to film because the kids, it was really funny because I'd go off and film, and most of the time when I'd go off and film, I'd come back with like ingredients or cake or something from a shoot, and they're like, where's they're looking at me, but they're actually looking at my hands. They're like, where's the cake? Where's the food? And I was like, for 2 weeks I came back with nothing but just like this stone cold look on my face, because I was going through therapy and I was learning a lot about my anxiety. So I was coming home feeling anxious. I was like, nothing. And I would deliberately kind of stay away from home, wait for the kids to go to bed so that they didn't have to see that every single night. So that impacted me quite badly, and it took, so it 30-something years later, I was everything that I'd buried very deep, I had to unearth and dig right back up. And I worked out, the therapist worked out that I have PTSD, which isn't surprising. It surprised me at the time, but I get it now. And it wasn't easy. And now it's there, and I think I've come to terms with the fact that it's always going to be there. And I have really, really good days, and I have really, really bad days. And not long before, I think it was like last weekend, I had a panic attack, and I just said, I was panicked about the cat. I was like, can you move the cat, please? The cat's going to see me have a panic attack. And my husband was like, she doesn't care. Just go have your, and he's become quite, like he just knows it's going to happen. And it's been a long time since I've had a panic attack, but it was all about this book, because, I had to really question why I was sharing so much of myself, and I had to ask myself, why is it important to share these stories? So it was...
what was your answer?
Abdal always, whenever I wrote, there were certain chapters that I wrote in, wrote out, and you know which chapters I'm talking about, in, out, so 4 or 5 times. And Abdal kept asking me, he said, who are you writing this for? That's it. Who are you writing this for? And I had to keep asking myself that question. And my answer is, I am writing this for 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old me. I'm not writing it for me now. I'm writing for me then. That little girl who just reached double digits, was having her fingers crushed, but was desperate to hide somewhere in a book, but couldn't find a book where she could find a character or a story or someone or anything to relate to, because home didn't feel like the place that I related. Outside of home didn't feel like the place that I related. So I looked for it in books and in words anywhere, couldn't find it. So you know what, I keep telling myself, I wrote this book for 13-year-old me who couldn't find that connection. And now I get to tell my stories, and I know that there are not just women, not just Asian girls, anyone who's ever experienced that role, or just picks up the book and reads the words and takes something for it, or just like simply just feels an emotion. For me, that's really important. So it's not just about me finding my voice, it's about people finding their voice in my words.
Sometimes, and I've found this through my book and the work that I do now, is that it's not necessarily that they're looking for the story to match theirs exactly. They're just looking to feel less alone in some part of their life. And you've written so many chapters at this point with this book. I think there's a story in there for most women out there who have experienced something that you have. So even if they can't relate to the fact that you're Asian or you're a certain skin tone, you're a certain religion, it doesn't matter.
No.
Hopefully they'll read those words and think, I feel less alone in the world, and that's why I'm glad you wrote the book. There is a story that is quite early on in the book, and I was surprised you included this, and I would like for us to talk about it as much as you want to talk about it. And it was when you, it really does affect you now quite greatly, and it's a thing that probably your anxiety stems from, and you didn't find out until later life. You didn't realize it until later life that you were abused at the age of 5, sexually abused at the age of 5.
Yeah.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, well, you say that out loud, like it's.
I know, but I literally.
I know you stumbled a little bit because I think it's hard to say it.
It's really hard, and it literally gave me chills, and so I wanna understand how that has impacted you, because you went through a lot of your life not knowing, not remembering.
No, well, it was a memory that was just stuck in my head at the age of 5, maybe 6. I was in Bangladesh, and I hadn't realized that I'd been sexually abused until I was in year 8 in biology, and we were having a sex education class, and whilst all the other girls were giggling, I was vomiting in the little sink in the middle of the table that you get in your biology class, and my teacher just said, "What's wrong?" And I just said, "I've just realized something." And that's when it dawned on me that I'd been sexually abused at 5. And since then, it was really hard to write that. And I did a festival yesterday. It was the first time I've ever spoken about it. And it was really hard because last weekend, the reason why I had a panic attack was because it was there. It was all in the headlines, and it was there, and it was just kind of like very. And there's much more to this book than just that headline, you know, and there's more to it than just that. But it is a very important part of the book because it is a piece of my life that I hadn't shared with anyone, and then I went on to share it with, you know, hopefully many, many people, because I had to ask myself so many times, why am I writing this? Who am I writing this for? Because this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt just to say it out loud because my kids are going to see this. And I had to ask whether my kids needed to see this. It's the best thing I've done. It's the best thing I've done because I know there are many, many people out there, women, men, and I can speak for my own community in that I know in the group of 10 friends, you know, I went to all girls' school, 6 were abused. Yeah. It's very common. It's happening to men, it's happening to women, it's happening to children. It is happening, but we're not talking about it. And I
don't know if it's higher in our community or what, but it does seem to be so common in our community.
It is very, especially things like in mosques and teachers who teach languages. It's happening all the time. I have grown up my whole life hearing about sexual abuse, and nobody talks about it. And I figured that if I didn't write about it, with this opportunity that I had to write this book, if I did not talk about it, I would be part of the problem, not the solution.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You say the reason you wanted to write the book was for your 10-year-old self, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
And I understand that is cathartic for you. However, this book, the reason why I'm saying that it's important for everyone is there are so many people who are touched by that, even if it's not them physically or personally, they know somebody who's gone through that. And so I think it's a really important read so you understand the perspective that you may never have had before. And so I'm really glad you added that in the book. I remember what it was like to write a book thinking constantly, do I add this, do I not add this? It's a horrible feeling. And that panic attack, I wouldn't have described mine as a panic attack, but I went through that same feeling a few days before. I cried constantly, and I'm not much of a crier, but I was crying constantly. I couldn't sleep with the pressure thinking, they're going to know my little secret. And and it's not your fault. But you just know you're about to share something with the world.
Quite a lot of yourself that you give.
Yeah, and you already give. You're not an actress. You are very much yourself. You already give so much of yourself. But I like that you saw it as almost a responsibility to share the story, because you are in a very privileged position. Not many people have the voice that you have, and I know you said the book's finding your voice. But you do actually speak for whether you like this or not. This is just a fact, and I've come to accept this also. Whether you like it or not, you do speak for a generation.
Yeah.
And so I think being open and vulnerable is very important, because it can actually affect a culture massively.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd asked me 4 years ago, how do you feel about talking about being a Muslim, being brown, being, a woman in this industry, I would have said, oh, no, can I just, if you could not just ask me that question, and could I just write cookbooks and be done with it, please? And
grab the flower.
Yeah, and it's just like, no. and if you'd asked me that 4 years ago, that would have been my response. But I feel so privileged that I have this platform, and what is the point in this platform if I'm not doing something good? And I just, not to say that I don't love writing cookbooks, I love all of that. I love my job, and I can't believe I get to call it a job, because my daughter thinks I'm on a jolly all the time. She's like, that's not a real job. And it does feel like a jolly, because I'm having such a great time. But I'm in an industry that is dominated by middle-aged Caucasian men, and I'm 5 foot tall, a brown Muslim woman that covers her hair, that turns up, and everyone's looking at you like, you don't fit in. And it takes a lot of strength for me to say, do you know what, I'm going to push my elbows out and I'm going to make space. And it's about making space, and that's what this book is about. It's about saying, I am here, I have a voice, and I'm making space. Because we have a generation of children who are coming up, and whether they like me or not like me, they are coming up, and they want to be in a world that reflects our society, and where we are a mixed, wonderful society. And that's what we should see on television and in books and in the media. And so my thing I say to my kids is, when they're feeling a little bit not sure and not fitting in, I'm like, elbows out. And that's not literal. I mean, you don't have to have your elbows out unless you want to smash someone in the side. But it is pretty cute. It's pretty cute. But elbows out, make space. And that's what this book is about. It's about finding your voice, whether it's quiet, the back of your throat, tip of your tongue. It's about finding it, because it is there.
This wasn't on my list, but now that you've mentioned it, I want to talk about it. You are one of the very few who look like you. But I haven't been in England for a long time. Maybe you're still the only one that looks like you on TV here. Why is that? I know why that's important, but I want you to share with what looks like a rather Caucasian audience. Why is it important that they see people that look different to them on TV? To you, why do you think it's important?
Well, growing up, when we were watching TV, and it's not just television, it's reading books, just just finding a name that you kind of like relate to. None of that. Like it did not exist. It did not exist. And I remember watching Delia and thinking, do you think she'll cook a curry? Do you think she'll cook a curry? And I didn't care that my mother was cooking curries. I wanted to see Delia cook a curry, and I was like, come on, cook a curry.
Did she ever?
I don't know. I can't say. I just remember the Christmas specials. I just remember the Christmas specials and thinking, she's got an oven in her wall. Like, that's so... I was like, that's really, really cool. Now I aspired to an oven in the wall. And I was like, I want an oven in the wall. But yeah, growing up, I did not see anyone like me on television. And I didn't think about it. I didn't think that it was important, or that I wanted to be the person to do it, because...
Oh gosh, I did all the time.
I know you did. I know.
I was so angry.
I know. I mean, it took you how many jobs before you actually got there? Like 30-something jobs? 30 jobs.
No, but I never thought I would be that person. It just made me really angry. I never thought I was going to be in entertainment ever. It just wasn't.
It did just fall on your...
It literally just fell into my lap. I am the luckiest person in the world.
You are.
But it wasn't that I thought I could fill that job. I was just angry. Looking at watching the TV, and I wasn't much of a reader, but I did watch a lot of TV, and it was frustrating thinking, do they not care about our stories? Why are we so insignificant to them?
Yeah, because I didn't, I never saw anyone like me. I mean, like, you see people from African people, we still saw white people, and, and Ken Hom, like, I always saw Ken Hom. I was like, he's there, like, come on, somebody like me. And there was nobody ever like anyone like me. And I never aspired to be that person. I never said, oh, yeah, I'm going to be that girl. I didn't. But when when I first went on Bake Off, I remember the first article that came out about me was they had the face, the awful pictures, and then they had what their occupation was, and I was housewife. And underneath there was an article about me saying that she must be scrounging and on benefits. She must be on benefits. That's what it was.
Ooh.
So she's a housewife, so she's on benefits, and I don't have to justify that to anyone. I don't have to. I have a husband who has an amazing job. I didn't have to go to work. I had the luxury of staying at home, but I don't have to justify that to him. But because I chose to be a housewife, I had to be on benefits, right? And that frustrated me and infuriated me, and I questioned why I did it. I said, why on earth have you just gone and done Bake Off? I can't even take it back.
Yeah.
Like, it's all done and filmed. I knew at that point I'd won, and even then I was doubting myself. I was like, you won the thing, and still you don't, like, you're trying to take it all back. And now, I'd love to. I wish I could say that there's this massive, after Bake Off, there's this massive influx of people like me on television. And I know the process is going to be slow.
Oh, yeah.
I know the process is going to be slow. I know it's going to happen really fast. But it's about staying here. It's about saying that I'm not willing to go. I want to do this job, and I like doing this job, and I will not be smoked out. I will stay here for as long as I want to.
The funny thing is, when I started, I thought, I'm just going to do a Queer Eye, and then that's it. Because I didn't want to be in TV, I didn't want to be in entertainment. And then when I started to see the impact...
I saw you at the Emmys.
Once I started seeing the impact, and it wasn't just that I love my job, Nadiya, and I'm sure you love your job too, I feel it's my responsibility to make sure I stay in this. I just think if I leave, there are only like 7 or 8 of us total in this industry.
Paychecks are good too, right?
Paychecks are really nice.
Yeah.
They're really nice,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, and that's lovely. To be an Asian that I can finally say when somebody says, I pay your taxes, I'm like, no bitch, I pay your taxes. And your mums, and your dads, and your granddads. You don't pay my taxes. But yeah, the reason why I now am very happy to continue working and I want to do as much as possible is so I can say, you didn't get rid of us just because you didn't like the version of a person that you saw on TV. That doesn't mean that you can scare me off. I'm going to speak louder, I'm going to stand taller, and I'm going to stay in this as long as I can until you let more of us in.
Yeah, that's what it's about, saying elbows out, we're making space. It's about staying here and saying that this is, I do this job and I love it, but there's a reason why I'm doing it, and it's much more than just a job.
Much greater than us.
It is, absolutely. So I just, just keep going. That's what it is.
Okay, let's lighten this up a little bit.
Okay.
I think we've got like 4 minutes, Nadiya, before we've got questions from the audience. We were late.
Okay.
If you're looking at that thinking 10, you went over. I'm usually terrible with time.
No.
We were on something called Asian time, we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what you love most about your job, my love.
What do I
You have many jobs.
Yeah. I like the traveling bit. I used to hate the traveling because I hate sleeping in hotels. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I don't even mind the polyester, like the sheets and stuff. Don't bother me.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. I just don't like sleeping.
It's not in your own bed.
Yeah, just like my 8-year-old mattress.
Yeah.
I just like it. Yeah.
You should rotate it even if it's 8 years. Do you rotate it?
Yeah,
Do you
I
flip
do.
it? Okay, good. All right,
I
good.
do, yeah.
All right, good.
We're all learning.
Listen, I promise you I'm not paid by this company in any way, but there's this brand that they have in America, I think you have it here also, called Purple. Changed my life.
No, I haven't. What,
oh my
Purple?
God, changed
Do
my
you
life.
have
Does
a
anybody know what that is?
No.
It changed my life. It cools you down when you sleep, so...
I didn't know what you were going to say then.
It cools you out so you can sleep a really nice night. Try it out if you're looking for a new mattress. It's really
Okay, fine.
Okay. Weirdly, you're obsessed with a certain superstore.
Which superstore?
Costco.
Yeah, I love Costco. I love Costco. It's my favorite thing. You know when you think, you know when, like, you go in and like, do I need 720 tea bags? Yes, I do.
No, that is my question. I saw this about you and I just thought, what the heck is
so
her obsession?
much.
You don't have that big a family. Everything goes to waste, doesn't it?
I'm Asian. You know my family's big.
Oh, so you...
Yeah,
but your immediate family's quite... So do you divvy it up and give it to your actual
so
extended
when I
family?
go, they do like 16 croissants.
Yes,
like
I know.
$2.99. But like they're like that big.
Well, there's 5 of you.
Yeah, but I'll eat 2, and then like the others will eat like maybe. I give them to my mum. Sometimes I go to my mum's.
That makes sense. All
like
right.
she needs 720 tea bags.
Yes.
And like I love it. There's something about buying everything in bulk.
Yeah.
And my husband has his gym in the garage, and he's like, whenever I go Costco, he goes, remember, I need to be able to see the gym after you've come back from Costco. And they do really good thermals.
Let me say, they do good.
Yeah, really good thermals.
Let me say one thing, because I feel like I misspoke when you were saying your husband started to get the Asian ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, it's the worst. I'm not saying it's the worst that other people have it. I struggle with it. When you hit your 30s as an Asian man,
Yeah.
I always said to myself, when I'd look at my uncles and my dad, thought, God, I really don't want to look like that when I'm 35.
Yeah.
I just, you still want to like feel desirable.
Yeah.
But it's hard, man. And for an Asian man,
Yes.
there's something with our biology. We just naturally start to
I call
get
it the
that.
alley belly.
Yeah.
The alley belly.
We call it something else, but
Okay.
I can't say that here.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
Just put it in your book
hard.
next time, because you say everything on there.
I know, I really do.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more things. Talk about your style evolution, my dear, because you came to slay. You came to slay. But on the show, it was like, oh, she's Sidi Sadi, she's like a really sweet girl.
Okay.
And then you had like a
He said Sidi Sadi, which means like straight.
like, yeah, like a
very-
straight-laced
which
girl.
I am.
Which you know you are. But then you just decided to school some of us on style, which seemed very exciting, because I did see your, I don't know what magazine publication it was, newspaper publication it was. I think it may have been The Guardian or something recently. I know.
Was it the blue?
Yeah, mate. And then you had a purple situation going on. You had a red situation going on.
Yes.
It was
the You magazine.
very good.
Yes.
Oh, was it You?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
Killer.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I saw you on a couple of other shows. We watched your shows with my cast when we were in our trailer. We're all a little bit too obsessed with you. A couple of my castmates found out I was coming to see you today, and I got more swear words at me than I've ever had from them. They're really actually...
Is it Jonathan? I love Jonathan.
He's so angry. He actually threatened to kill me. Don't worry, everyone, it's not a real threat, but he literally threatened to kill me this morning.
he?
He was like,
I love
will
him.
kill you. And so he's so angry about it. But we were talking about your fashion, so when we watch you on in our trailer, we're like, what happened to her?
It was, you know what? It was
You look wicked.
Thank you. It was I think that was me evolving. I think that was happening. And I'd lost my after having kids, I thought it was acceptable to walk out with sick on your shoulder. And you do lose yourself a little bit, or at least you become a different version of yourself when you've got children. Yeah. And there's a chapter in your book that really hit home with me. And it's weird that you're talking about that now, because it was your tracksuit.
Yeah.
Your tracksuit chapter, which I didn't think, because his is all chaptered by clothes, which I think is so cool.
Thanks.
Your tracksuit chapter really hit home with me, because that feeling of, when we save our best clothes for a special occasion, but why can't life every day be a special occasion? Yeah. Why can't we wear our best clothes every day for the people that we see every day and that we love every day? Why do we save it to, go out on we're going out on a night or whatever it's just like every few weeks.
So you're never going to see those people again.
And why am I dressing up for them for, when I should be dressing up for everybody that sees me, and I want everyone to think I look lovely and happy. And I really took from that, and I honestly, when I was reading that, I was like, you wouldn't even think, I was not expecting to find that in there. Right. And I just said, do you know what, I threw my tracksuit bottoms away.
Good.
They're disgusting. Never get washed.
Yeah.
Hideous.
See, I don't mind a tracksuit bottom unless you actually feel wicked in it.
No,
like if it's just
wicked.
because you just are comfortable. I just think you should want to feel like start off every day feeling good about yourself and being kind to yourself, looking in the mirror, saying, I feel like the best version of me today.
And I really took back from that. I love that chapter, because when I wear those tracksuit bottoms, all I want to do is eat crisps and watch television, and that's not the best version of myself. Yeah,
I think that's the best version of me.
Yes, it is.
Definitely the best version.
You probably look good doing it. I wear
my husband would tell you otherwise. Okay, last thing, because we do need to end this. I want to end it with a quote. The Bake Off.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with your season. We get it 2 years after you guys in England, but we were obsessed with you. And the last thing that you said, which I thought was beautiful, was it's after they already tell you that you've won.
Yeah.
And they give the parting statement on the show. You all know you're obsessed.
They're here for you, they don't know.
No, they're obsessed. Maybe you're not as obsessed as I am. You say, I'm never going to put boundaries on myself ever again. I'm never going to say I can't do it. I can and I will. Yeah. So, my question is, what can you do and will you do next, my love? What's your dream?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a hard one, though.
Do you have a plan?
No, I don't do plans.
Okay, I like
No,
that.
my life is so, after having kids, I became so obsessed with plans and what we want to do next. Let's save up to buy a house. Let's do, and I was like,
Yeah.
nah, you know what? It's like, because plans stop me from living today.
Yeah.
And that's what I stopped doing.
Well, then I've got an answer for you then, if you don't mind. Then I think if you can't come up with it, I'm going to say you will continue. What you will do is to continue to inspire so many people, my love.
I hope so.
You make me so proud to be British, truly so proud to be British, and I love you very much.
I kind of love you too.
Thanks. And I think I love it too. Woo! And now we've got Emma back with us.
Hey!
Explain. Are these from your? You did an Insta post earlier. Are these from your Insta thing that you did earlier? That you did a survey, or you asked them to ask you questions, Nadia, on your
Yes,
Instagram.
on my, yes.
That's what this is from. Okay, great.
Yeah, and so it's on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
So Cheltenham
Okay.
and you have asked people to
Yeah.
send in questions.
Great.
Before we start them,
Yeah.
I used to think I was quite good at interviewing. I'm giving up.
He's amazing.
That was amazing. That was truly amazing.
Thanks so much.
That was brilliant. That was brilliant. Wow. What an hour. Okay, we have minutes because you overspoke, but it's fine.
Asian time,
do that.
Asian
That's why I said
time.
do this.
Time. So many questions. I thought they'd be shit. But they're not. They're really good. So I'm going to go through them quite quickly. Okay, let's start with the hardest. Nadia. This comes from someone called Emma, but it's not me. I promise you it's
Okay.
not me. Be honest.
Yeah.
Mary, Mel and Sue or Prune, Noel and Sandy?
Oh! Oh shit! I did not see that coming. I have an answer. You go, and then I want to give mine.
Okay,
I
you
think
go
it's going to be the
first.
same. I think, so say that again. Is it like all four of them?
No, Mary, Mel and Sue
Yeah.
or Noel, Sandy and Prue.
Stop it! Wait, do you know what? I'm sorry. I don't care if anyone doesn't like me. I'm going to be loyal. I like Mary, Mel and Sue. They're my bake-off. They're like, that's my bake-off. They're like, yeah.
Sam?
Okay, you know you agree with me. Don't you even go there.
I can't answer it exactly the way they're asking.
Okay.
Mary, heck yeah, queen for life. I love Mel and Sue, I do, and I thought nobody could replace them. However, Sandy and Noel are dynamite. 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 Which did make me worry that we could be replaced also, so that's terrifying.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Yes.
As well answered, it does mean the only person who came out badly was Prue.
I'm the next brown person to apply for queer rights.
Yes.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Jonathan would be so happy.
Okay. Nadia.
Yes.
This is from another Emma, Emma Tilley. Do you charge extra at your kids' bake sales for your cakes?
Nobody asks me. I have to like force cake on people.
Not me.
No, I know.
Not me.
I kind of like, we have like Macmillan coffee mornings and things like that, and I'm like, hey, do you guys want some cake? They're like, no, it's okay. You don't have to. I just feel like people are too polite, and it really irritates me. I'm like, it's for charity. What's wrong with you lot?
I really want, just so we're clear, I really want
That's
cake.
fine. As long as someone eats it. I have a wheelbarrow in my garage, and when I'm baking cakes, I take cake in my wheelbarrow cake thing, and then I do.
That's why they don't want it.
I do.
Now we know.
No,
There you
it's
have it.
clean. It's got no cement in it. It's not clean. And then I walk around and I go to the neighbours' houses and I give out cake. I do.
I'm going to
Ask
get
them.
you a really cute basket instead.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
I'm gonna
that's
get that. I'm
why.
gonna get
That's
that.
what we should
Yeah.
do.
That was a good moment, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Together.
Yeah.
Came together.
Style moment. Tan, someone called Shamala has asked you, how did your family react to you marrying your husband?
At the time, they did not know who he was. I just told them that I was marrying a man. And they said, as long as we don't know too much, you do whatever you need to do, as long as you're happy. And then about 10 years later, they finally got to know him. Yeah. Yeah, just like a year and a half ago.
Sorry, 10 years? They didn't meet him.
They did not. It's because it kind of goes against their upbringing, the religion that they have, which I respect very much, actually, and I don't have any disdain for them. I absolutely understand. I was raised in the religion, and I understand that it was a very scary time. And the reason why it's important for you all to understand is that they're not terrible people. we have the luxury in the West, in Caucasian community, of seeing representation on TV. You understand what it is to be a gay person who's white. We don't have that luxury, and so I don't blame my family at all. They didn't understand.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a bit like my own marriage. I quite liked my husband. About 3 years into getting married. Complete opposite.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, hey, let's have 2 kids. And now I like you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can...
Because she had arranged marriages. She talks about it in the book.
Yeah.
The fact that you then married him last year made me cry when
I did.
read that.
We did it again properly.
Oh. And also, you did it again just with the 2 of you, didn't you?
Just us 2, because the whole wedding was just a big old, just 3,000 people.
Ooh.
3,000.
That's a really small Asian wedding.
That is a small.
Very intimate.
3,000 people. It was hideous. It was horrible. I didn't get to pick any of my dresses. My father-in-law picked my dresses. I know. And
please text me pictures later.
oh my, hideous. I will.
Okay.
I will. I had no eyebrows either, all overplucked. It was just terrible. And then I decided last year we're doing it, and I said no children, nothing. Just you and me.
And Hello Magazine. Okay, how about this one? Hashim says, I'm a British Pakistani. Sometimes I feel too brown for the whites and too white for the browns. Do you have any advice for me?
So, no, you go. I'm just listening.
Yeah, I felt that way my whole life, and sometimes I still feel that way. However, I've finally reconciled the fact that there's no problem with being too Pakistani. There's no problem with being too Caucasian. We have to learn that we are a product of 2 cultures, and that adds beauty to England like nothing else. We are what make this country beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, that might be the best answer of the entire day. Tan, what inspired your Emmy outfit?
Oh, I love that outfit. I then followed them on Instagram. I was like, oh my God, I want something.
Aren't their clothes gorgeous?
Someone just describe it for the audience.
Okay, so I believe I was the first man to ever wear something called a Shivani suit on the red carpet. It is a very heavily adorned jacket that men wear on weddings, in Asian weddings. And I knew I wanted to represent my own culture at the Emmys. And we had just won, so there are 2 Emmys. One of them, it happens a week before, which is for unscripted shows, and then they have the main primetime show. And we had just won 4 Emmys at the unscripted show version, and so we were going there as winners, and I wanted to look like a damn winner.
Yeah, you did.
And it was the best I've ever felt in my entire life.
Oh, it was so good.
Thanks.
So good.
Thanks, my love.
Yeah.
Funniest thing is that you look like a winner in a grey jumpsuit.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Probably wear pants and win it. Okay, we're going to have to end, but I'm going to end with probably the most important question I can ask both of you, which is, and this is to both of you, and it's from Jessica, scone or scone?
You're a southerner. You're going to say it different to me, I think.
I say scone.
I say scone. I'm northern.
Scone like gone? Yeah, I say scone.
Scone is in stone.
Yeah, my husband says scone.
Yeah.
He's a northerner.
Do you class yourself as a northerner at heart, or you're a southerner at heart?
I am a human.
Nah, mate. You are. Me too. However,
Southern?
that north,
Southern.
mate, the north,
Southern.
mate, there's something special about the north.
It is.
I do love the south.
The northerners are lovely. They're lovely. I married one, but it took a long time to drag him out the north. I was like, come on, love. Come on.
We're a stubborn bunch.
Yeah.
This is so unfortunate. We've had an entire hour of harmony, and we've ended wow. Ladies and gentlemen,
find a way to divide us.
Yes.
Tan France and Nadiya Hussain.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
That was wonderful.
That was wonderful.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.